Hi, my name is Olivier Blanchard at the Brand Builder, and I'm Brand Camp U today, and we're talking about personal branding. And the question that I was asked was, what is one of the things that you usually tell people about personal brands and how to manage them in today's economy, in today's kind of environment? And there's a lot of things that you could say, but one of the ones that really comes up pretty often is make sure that whatever personal brand you have, whatever your reputation, your image, whatever social equity that you've built and continue to build is something that your employer is familiar with, something that your employer really knows about and is comfortable with. You really want to align whoever you are and what you bring to the job with the values and the image of the company that you work for. It's really important. If there's any kind of dissonance between the value of the company that you work for and what you stand for and some things that you say, it's at some point it's going to become conflict. It's going to get in the way of your career. It's going to get in the way of everything that you're doing. So it's important really to have that discussion with your employer, with the HR department, with your boss, with legal even, and kind of define the parameters, be really honest about who you are and who you want to be, how you want to grow and evolve as an individual, and make sure that, one, the company is okay with it, that they're not going to try to censor you or edit you too much, and then two, make sure that they're okay with it so that they don't worry about what you might say, they don't worry about some of the content that's going to come up on your blog or on your Twitter feed at some point. And if you have that kind of discussion, that frank discussion, you bring it out in the open, then it becomes a little bit more of a process, and there's a really good chance that they'll become your allies in kind of creating or developing your brand, as opposed to your enemy, or maybe kind of the shady black cat that keeps throwing you side glances every time that you publish something on your blog. So that's pretty important.
I think the one key takeaway to really understand from my presentation is that it's no one else's fault if your brand isn't perceived the way you want it to be. If you want your brand to be perceived a certain way, your job is to act like that and make your brand that way. And if you're not doing that, you can't blame Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter for that. That's your fault. Your job is to fix your personal brand, be relevant, have interesting things to say, live your life. Live your life the way you want your brand to be perceived.
All right, so what I talked about here at Brand Camp U 2010 was the role of personal branding within a corporate or business environment. And the key takeaway that I'd like people to remember is that personal branding is important. We recognize inside big organizations that it does connect us with people and does give people an incentive to want to interact with the brand. But at the end of the day, personal branding is only effective if you're achieving a business result for the company, if you're making sales, if you're driving an actual business result. Otherwise, personal branding is ineffective and kind of a lot of hooey. It's all got to be tied back to business results. If you're an effective enough practitioner, you can take your personal brand and leverage it to drive those business results. But again, you've got to keep that the eye on that prize.
Hi there. So my takeaway from today's presentation is probably very simple, but give freely, give often. And I'm really referring to time, content, energy, knowledge, anything that you can share with others. Number one, it is your expertise, so you're the best person to be talking about this. And number two is probably helping out other people who have the same questions, and that's karma that's going to come back to you and help you out later on. So think about what you're giving the most of, what you're the best at, and what you can share the most of.